Today, all new.
A season 25 coup.
For the first and only time,
Wow-wee.
American icon Ralph Lauren opens up his ranch.
This is unbelievable. Where did the idea for the polo shirt come from? The first interview with his wife, Ricky. What would you say is the secret to this? And their children. From the outside looking in, it looks like the perfect picture. A rare that only comes around once.
Next.
For years, it's been a dream of mine to sit down on camera with American icon Ralph Lauren and see how he lives. I have driven by this wooden fence, which stretches almost 30 miles along his private ranch in the Rocky Mountains, just hoping the day would come when I would get to go inside. Today, that dream is coming true. For the first and only time ever, Ralph Lauren is allowing television cameras inside the cabins that make up his family compound on the magnificent 17,000-acre double RL ranch just outside Telluride, Colorado. Wow-wee.
Hey, how are you?
Wow-wee. I can't believe I made it. How are you?
How you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Come
Good
on,
to see you.
smell.
Good to see you. You can't imagine how long I have dreamed of coming here. You can't imagine.
Well,
It is an absolute dream come true to finally see this magnificent place. And my host, Mr. Ralph Lauren himself, chose what he calls his other horse, a vintage 1948 Jeep, for my guided tour of the double RL ranch.
Look how the weather.
I love the weather. I love everything about this, and I can't even explain to you what this means that I'm here. The beauty and breadth of this landscape leave me speechless. Ralph says he felt the same way when he first bought the ranch back in 1982.
I was out here at 6:30 in the morning, and I walked out and I saw this exactly where we are right now. And I just took a deep breath myself, and I said, I can't believe that I'm here.
Took your breath away.
Took my breath away.
Yeah.
We lived in the area. Used to pass this area, but you could never really see it.
And so is that teak wood?
Yeah, that's the teak wood.
That's teak.
And
because I remember when they were the golden teak. And I used to, from the first RL sign, the double RL sign, I used to start the odometer and measure how long was the fence along the highway. And just around the bend, a sight to behold. 5 hand-painted teepees, decorated to a T, complete with beds and couches. The attention to detail is, well, it's Ralph Lauren. Whoa. Oh, this is unbelievable.
What do you think? So...
It's like out of a Ralph Lauren catalog. Oh, my goodness. Do people come down and stay here?
Only invited.
Only invited.
It's a treat. You know, if it's a time of year, you know, this is the right time of year when you can really enjoy it. Look at this. The settings, the couches.
Do you collect all these old blankets?
Yes.
Collect all
I've always collected blankets and all the Navajo stuff.
I can't shut my mouth. This is a dream.
It feels good, doesn't it? It's very quiet. It's very peaceful.
This feels perfect. I could be so happy here. Wow. Everywhere you lay your eye, there's something more interesting to see. We take a peek inside a child-sized teepee. It's filled with whimsical artifacts and toys. Did you always want to be a cowboy?
I want to be everything.
You wanted to be everything.
All at once. I want to be a baseball player. I want to be a basketball player. I wanted to be an actor. I want to be a dancer. You know, and I think my whole life has been actually, I wanted to be Batman. If you don't, that's a secret I'm telling you and everyone out there. But the ability to stay young, the ability to enjoy what you enjoyed when you were a kid, not to give up the hope and the excitement is very important.
Well done, sir. We pass by this sun-kissed stream running alongside the saloon. The covered porch, where the family loves to hang out, is the perfect spot to kick up our heels and sit a spell. It's here, Ralph tells me, his story began. This really is a dream come true for me. I can't tell you how many times I've driven on that road and counted the miles of your fence, tried to look over, like so many people do, I think, in their neighborhoods when you're growing up. You look at the big house on the hill. For me, it was looking through the fence at your ranch. And so,
first of all, yeah, go ahead.
It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
You know, had I known you were going to look through the fences, I would have been out there watching you run and say, come on in.
So, did you dream this life? Is this the life you dreamed?
I didn't dream this life, but I dreamt of what I'd like to be when I came out west.
How did this happen, this ranch? We were talking a little bit in the Jeep about it, but how did this, were you searching for a ranch? Were you searching for land?
Yeah, Ricky and I decided that our life is very busy, live in New York, and I needed another side that was totally private, totally a world that I felt I could live. It was nature. It was peaceful. It was horses. It was riding. It was cattle.
It was the wind.
And wind.
Yeah, we
and weather.
Wind. Yes.
So I think this is a world that I wanted. And when we got here together, we knew it. And we rode up the mountain, and I said, wait a minute, this is it. And we both felt the same feeling.
When you got up to the place you call the Vance?
Up at the Vance.
Yes.
And the Vance has got the mountains, and you're in a world that's all your own. But the dream unfolds. I don't think I've ever dreamt anything in my life as it really came out. I never dreamt I'd be who I am. I never thought I'd be the designer.
Ralph Lauren's vision has defined American style for more than 4 decades. If you say something is so Ralph Lauren, the world knows exactly what you mean. He is the biggest selling designer on the planet Earth. And his iconic polo ponies are recognized around the globe. It all started in 1967 with a simple tie. That same year, he started his own company and named it Polo. Today, the Ralph Lauren brand includes furniture, fragrances, fashion for children, and my favorite restaurant in Chicago, RL, all the epitome of luxury. He is the official outfitter of the U.S. Olympic teams, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open. Today, Ralph Lauren's $12 billion empire is stronger than ever, with 452 stores in over 80 countries around the world. So this all started with a tie. I know a lot of people think it started with the polo shirt, but it started with the tie.
No, it started way back. I felt I had something to say. There were no fashion designers when I was growing up. The idea of fashion and what fashion has become today was very different. I was working. I was working in a job, and I wasn't sure who I was going to be. And
What was the job?
I used to hang up returns in a department store. When I was 16 years old, when I was still going to high school. And along the way, I sort of felt that I had something to say that was different. And no one believed me, of course. When I went to my boss and I said, look, I'd like to design these ties because I think they could be new, he said, the world isn't ready for Ralph Lauren.
Wow.
And I've never forgot that, because even when he said that, the world isn't ready for you, I thought that was a compliment.
Yes.
So what happens? A fellow came along and said, Ralph, would you like to come with me? And I said, I would. I'd like to start my own division. Called it Polo. And they gave me a drawer in the Empire State Building. Not an office, but a drawer.
A drawer.
So I worked on the bottom of the drawer, and everyone in the office thought, who's this little kid working out of the drawer? And I took the samples, made these wide ties, and delivered them myself in a bomber jacket and jeans. And that's how it went.
Why'd you call it polo? Why'd you call it?
Yeah, because polo, I felt like I couldn't call it basketball. I like sports. And I felt that polo represented sort of an international sport. It was a little more sophisticated.
Wow. Coming up, the defining moment in Ralph Lauren's childhood that changed everything, and how his career almost ended before it started.
I said, closing my bag, and I'm not going to sell you. And I left.
Ralph Lauren was born in 1939 in the Bronx. His father, an artist, painted houses to support the family. The youngest of 4 kids, Ralph developed his own unique sense of style early on. As a boy, he prized his hand-me-downs from his brothers, while saving up the money he earned after school to buy clothes from the local military surplus store. Today, that boy from the Bronx spends as much time as he can on his Colorado ranch. Ralph Lauren's still drawn to all things rugged and worn. And at a young 71, this cowboy looks cooler than ever. Were you a different kind of kid? Because your parents came to this country, Russian immigrants, looking for a better life in America, as that's how this country was built. And their son, Ralph Lipschitz, grows up to be Ralph Lauren, and not only lives the American dream, but creates that for other people. Did they live to see you become?
I think they did. I think they had seen me.
The American dream, to fulfill the American dream?
I think so.
It's pretty incredible.
My parents were very good parents. My father was an artist. When life was harder and he couldn't get jobs, he painted houses. And when I see his work, it was special. Somewhere along the line, I felt I was special. I didn't know why.
My producers told me at camp something happened.
When you count the highlights of your life.
Yeah.
Well, I was voted the general in color war. And that was a highlight because up till then, this was a stamping and saying, Ralph, you really are special. Someone said to me, we're picking you. You're going to lead half this camp.
So that camp was a defining moment. That's so good to hear you say that.
It was a real moment. And I guess inside, I always felt I had something. I started with a tie company. Bloomingdale's saw the ties and said, we don't want to buy him, Ralph, but we'd like to narrow him a little bit. And we'd like to take the name off, and we want to call it our Bloomingdale's name.
Ooh.
And I said, Bloomingdale's was the hottest store.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't know what the expression I used, but I said, I'm not doing that. I'd love to sell Bloomingdale's. I know you're a great
expression
store.
was kind of like hell to the gnaw, right?
Whatever it was. My heart was in my throat, or my throat was in my heart. I said...
So you turned Bloomingdale's
I said,
down. Yeah.
I'm closing my bag. And I'm not going to sell you. I really would like to. I think you could use these ties. I'm closing the bag, and I left. 6 months later, they called me back and said, we can't find anything like yours. And they put a rack of my ties in. I was 26 years old. And then one day I came back, and I saw another rack of ties that looked like mine. And I said, oh, no, this is the end. They've copied me, and where am I going to go from here? And one of the guys that worked in the company at Bloomingdale's came over and he said, Ralph, they're not the same as yours. And he said, the difference is between your ties and the ones that are on the rack next to you, they're love. Now, love is not about love, but love was the passion.
And the care.
He knew that I loved what I did.
You had a passion for it.
I had a passion. And so everything I did from there on in.
Where did the idea for the polo shirt come from? You know, when I used to drive by, I used to think, that's a lot of polo shirts.
Well, you know, the polo shirt doesn't define who I am. The shirt is a symbol of the brand. People love the brand. They like the horses. They like the colors. They love the quality. And it's been an amazing thing. So it's great that they're out there, and I'm thrilled, and they continue. And I think the question is, keep that going.
Yeah, that is the question. The other question is, what inspires you when you have already had achieved such great levels of success?
You pray. I love working. I love the excitement. I like teams. I like the challenge of doing something that hasn't been done. I have a wife. I have kids. I knew they needed things. I knew they weren't in the stores. And so all these things were inspiring. The world around me is inspiring.
What is so wonderful, I think the thing that is impressive is that what you've created is not just clothes, or I think back in the 80s you started Ralph Lauren Home, but the ideal of what it can be. It's the ideal. And so when I buy a Ralph Lauren towel, which is what I did when I first got money, I thought, I went from little ratty towels to one of my first big purchases were Ralph Lauren bath sheets. And I thought, now I have made it. And it wasn't as much about you know, the towel as it was the ideal of what I thought that.
Well, I was the same guy, because I am the same person. I went into stores and I couldn't find those towels. I said, why don't they make these
towels bigger?
Why don't they make these?
So did you start kids after you had kids?
Kids after I had kids.
Yeah.
Because as I went looking, my wife would come back and say, you know, they have funny shirts and they have polyester and cotton. Why don't they have real cotton? And I said, I'm going to make them.
Wow.
And so I've done everything that way.
When you started to make serious money, did you have something special that you wanted to buy, that you wanted to, that you identified with?
I grew up in America. I had the same dreams that everyone else had. Started where I started. My dream was to have a nice house for my family, to have a nice car, to have my kids go to schools, to do all the things that everyone wants. And as I got there, I was able to do that. And as I worked harder, I was able to improve it. There was no miracle. There was no snap of the fingers.
Right.
And it was confidence. And I think confidence builds as you go on. If you have a good success, closing the door on Bloomingdale's was at one point sort of crazy, and at the same time was amazingly powerful.
In a business that, by definition, fashion is fickle, it changes every season, how do you think, or what has allowed you to stay not only consistent, but to become the quintessential American designer? What is that?
I don't know about all that. I think, again...
Oh, just take the compliment.
After I do a show down the runway, I know there's one waiting for me right again.
I know.
I got to do it again and again and again. But, you know, there is an excitement. I've done it, and then I got to start the new one. And while I'm doing that...
Are you anxious every time, or do you have a level?
People always said, Ralph, you've been doing it for all these years. Aren't you, don't you feel like it doesn't faze you? I'm scared.
Every time?
Every time I feel that you have to create something from nothing again. First shows I ever did, I walked down, it was a great show, all the people were there, it was a great show, people were standing up and applauding, and as I walked down the runway, I said, oh my God, what am I going to do next year? And that was 45 years ago.
As you're walking down the runway.
As I'm walking, I didn't even have 3 minutes to enjoy the pleasure.
Wow.
I was worried about next time.
How did the decision to move to home, to move from fashion and the way we dress to how we dress our homes?
Because I'm not about fashion, I'm about living. And that's been my whole career. And the clothes that I've designed and everything I've done is about life and how people live and how they want to live and how they dream they'd live. And that's what I do.
Coming up, a rare look inside the Lawrence mountain home. And do you have closets and closets and closets of clothes? Do you only wear your own things? It was 1982 when fashion legend Ralph Lauren and his wife Ricky bought this breathtaking 17,000-acre ranch outside of Telluride, Colorado. Parts of the original Western classic True Grit starring John Wayne were filmed here. And it's believed Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch passed through the property on their lawless adventures. Ricky and Ralph live in this stunning open floor plan main lodge. Gorgeous. At mealtime, the Laurens head to the cookhouse to gather around the family dinner table. And there's plenty of space for friends. I'll be bunking tonight at the Elk Meadow cabin. I could be very comfortable here for a long time. Where are you most yourself? And when are you most yourself?
I'm always myself.
That's a great answer. But like sitting here on the porch right now in your dude stuff
It's
here.
a part of me.
It's a part of you.
I'm not a cowboy all the time. I don't propose to be a cowboy. But I love the West. I love ranching. I love the idea of it.
Is it like creating
Absolutely.
little movies
The
for
way
yourself?
I work is I feel like I'm doing movies. Everything I do. If you said just design that dress for that girl, or design, I couldn't do it. But if you say she lives in a mansion or she lives in Soho and she's an artist, I could design exactly how she should look, how her hair should be, what she should be wearing, and I create a world around her. And I pin her up on the wall, and I said, now I know what she needs.
You tell stories.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is a consistency of vision, consistency about my life. I've been married for 46 years.
I love the consistency of vision. I love that.
I see things the way I see it. I'm always, you know, when I talk about clothes, one of the expressions I have is it gets better with age.
Why?
And because when you wear something, particularly men, men are comfortable. They buy something. You know, Fred Astaire used to have someone wear his clothes so he'd be comfortable when he put it on. He'd have someone break it in.
I never heard that.
You know, I like my clothes when they get a little older. I have tweed jackets. I don't give away my clothes. I wear my clothes. I add to my wardrobe.
Do you have closets and closets and closets of clothes?
No.
No?
I don't have closets. I think that I would like to, but I don't have the time. I wanted to have the clothes when I was a kid.
Well, if you don't get rid of things and you're Ralph Lauren, you would have closets and closets and closets.
My wife has it. I don't.
You don't? Do you only wear your own things?
I wear the things that I love, and if I see something that I really want and it's somebody else's, I'll wear it. I know I'm good. I know what I do, but I also appreciate somebody else. I appreciate other things, other people.
What are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of my family. I'm proud that people will say they're nice kids or they're nice people. They're grown-ups. They're not kids anymore. I'm proud of my wife. She's handled it, gone through it all. I think I'm proud that I'm still doing it, and that it's stronger now than it's been, and I live the life. But I'm real. I live in a real life, and I know I've had a brain tumor in the middle of my life, so I know what it is to have life not be as perfect as everyone thinks it is. So I feel good about the fact that I've done it honorably, that what I've done has made a difference, that it means integrity, that it says something. I feel that I represent America. When I go to Russia, and I have 3 stores in Russia, and people are coming into my stores in Russia, I'm saying, wow. So wherever I go in China, and wherever I go around the world, I feel like I'm an ambassador. I'm not President Obama, but I'm his assistant.
That's great. Coming up, they've been married 46 years. A Candid Talk with Ricky and Ralph Lauren. All new, 25 years, more than 30,000 guests, and now I'm ready to reveal who will go down in history as my all-time favorite. You'll never guess who it is. One last Oprah show, dream come true. Then, the 12-year-old who changed my mind when nobody else could. Maddie is being considered for sainthood. And that is what he said on his dying bed. Friday. He may be the force behind the most successful label in fashion, but Ralph Lauren is first and foremost a family man. He's been married for 46 years to his favorite cowgirl, Ricky. And they have 3 children, Andrew, David, and Dylan. Ricky now joins our conversation inside the saloon. Thank you for letting me come. Thank you for letting me be here.
You're here.
It's wonderful to see you two together. You can not just see, but feel that it's real. You know, I'm just watching the way you all look at each other, touch each other, the way he just moved your shoulder. I mean, just, it's real. 46 years.
That's true, yes.
What would you say is the secret to this?
Oh, I guess it's just being a good friend. I think Ralph is my best friend. And I'm just so comfortable with him, and I think he is with me as well. We can be ourselves. And we see the world. You know, I never had any brothers or sisters. And so in knowing Ralph as intimately as I knew him, I felt this was not just my husband, it was like my brother. It was the missing part of myself. It was someone that completed me. And he was also very thoughtful and kind to my parents.
So when you met him, he wasn't Ralph Lauren.
No.
He wasn't, you know, creator of this empire.
True.
So when you look at your husband starting out with, you know, middle-class means and now having this empire, are you in awe of it sometimes yourself? Can you? I asked him if he could wrap his brain around it. Can you?
We had nothing when we started. And now suddenly this whole world has opened up to us. And each step of achieving the life that we have has been work. It hasn't just been a gift. Everybody put in their dues. I was the mother, and I did my job being the mother. And Ralph was the one who was the breadwinner. And he would come home and be home every night and be the daddy. And the weekends, we were always playing with the children, going with them. And together, we built whatever we built because we both loved similar things. And we both had a passion for a lifestyle.
When you saw this land, did it speak to you?
It did. I love nature, and this is a particularly amazing segment of nature, a piece that is just incredible.
It feels like holy here.
It does, and I feel it's a spiritual place.
Yeah.
And I can connect to that spirituality. I think you do too.
Yes, yes.
And I just feel so...
What was it about it that spoke to you that you said, because are you the one that said we have to have this place?
Yes. Well, we drove up to a place called the Vans.
The Vans.
We're just standing together, holding hands, and suddenly I got this feeling of being so thrilled. It's like being in love again.
Wow.
And not
so
just with a man,
yeah,
but being in love with an environment, being in love with a place.
You were talking about, you know, and so many, I think, taking care of the children and raising children who have a sense of grace and are kind and have their own sense of ambition is the hardest job on earth. I think it's particularly difficult when your children have access to everything. How have you both managed to have such lovely children? How are you able to do that?
I guess it's from our parents. They were good people. They worked hard. They had values that we learned from them.
Do you feel like you're living a Ralph Lauren ad?
I don't think about it. I guess I am. I guess we are. But I don't know. This is our life. This is the way we live.
I mean, every pillow here looks like an ad.
Well,
it's perfect. Oh, goodness.
Well, it's because we are...
This is how you live.
That's what we want, and that's what we think that life could be.
Next, they've never done this before. My interview with Ralph and Ricky's children. What was your dad like when you were growing up? When did you figure out he is Ralph Lauren? All new, the bravest mother we ever met. She knew she was dying, and she was ready. 13 years later, meet the daughter who's grown up watching her on tape, and hear Aaron Cramp's last message to the world. Then, that was really brave of you. In 25 years, it's one of the most powerful moments. And your family is here. One of the single best reunions in the history of television. Tomorrow. Ricky and Ralph Lauren's oldest son, 42-year-old Andrew, is a successful film producer. His film, The Squid and the Whale, was nominated for an Oscar in 2006. 39-year-old David is the only Lauren child to go into the family business, where he serves as the executive vice president of advertising, marketing, and corporate communications at Polo Ralph Lauren. David is engaged to Lauren Bush, the granddaughter of President George H.W. Bush and niece of President George Bush. The Lauren's youngest child and only daughter, 37-year-old Dylan, has created her own American classic, the very popular candy store, Dylan's Candy Bar. This Manhattan sweet spot is one of the largest candy stores in the world. Dylan is also engaged to be married and will be walking down the aisle in a dress created by who else? Her papa, Ralph Lauren. I was just talking to your parents about something that fascinates me, and I think every parent watching out there who has had any level of success in their life understands you want your children's life to be better than your own. How did your parents manage to create such good people? Because everybody says what good people you are.
That's nice.
I think my parents are good people, and they're parents to us. They're not Ralph and Ricky Lauren, you know, public figure design, you know.
How did you not get spoiled is the real question.
Well, you know, my parents were always home. You know, as kids, when we'd come home from school, they were there. We'd have dinners together. It was never parents are out at some big function. And I think we really felt like it was a family, and that was the priority, to be together. The thing about our life, when you see these beautiful homes and you really? Dylan was literally in the next room. We really lived a very close life.
You're the only one that decided to go into the family business. Yeah. And
It's very exciting. You know, I am lucky to have a boss who's also my mentor and my father.
Wow. What was your dad like when you were growing up? When did you figure out he is Ralph Lauren?
I would say as soon as my friends all asked for discounts.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't see my dad as Ralph Lauren or, you know, anything other people call me. He's my dad. But I guess when people say, oh, my God, what's your closet like? You know, do you own this? Do you get your, you know, clothing for free? You know, all those kind of questions. That's the only time I really forget, you know, that he's not just my dad, but he's a well-known, you know, person in this world.
I would think you do get your clothing for free, don't you?
No.
No.
No?
Do we?
But
No,
you
I
get a
don't
good
get my
discount.
No.
We get a discount, but I don't get my clothing free. It's a public company.
Do you only wear Ralph Lauren?
No, well, I think it's what we love.
Yeah.
But he's never stopped us from, you know, experimenting and going out and finding a great pair of old vintage jeans, or finding, you know, if you're influenced by some other designer, he wants to know about it. I don't think he's, like, stuck where he's like, you're only going to wear my stuff. I think he wants us to see what's out there, and sometimes he's inspired as well by other things as well.
What I think is so interesting about you, too, Andrew, is that now you're a movie maker.
Yeah.
Your father makes little movies, little stories in every design. And is that what you picked up on as a kid? Is that
Definitely.
What, yeah.
I mean, there is some correlation, and it is about making stories, So
when you decided to go into the candy business?
Yeah, candy. Well, to me, candy is more than just candy you eat. It's fashion, it's colors, it's pop culture, it's art. And I just love it. And I think, you know, growing up with parents who let me eat candy in moderation, you know, I could take it to the next level. And I was definitely inspired by both my parents and my mom being so artistic with color. You know, I had to do something creative. It was sort of inevitable.
Were you always encouraged to fulfill whatever expression you desired or wanted?
Always.
Definitely.
There was never any pressure to do anything or be anything more than what we felt comfortable with. And, you know, whether it was with our homework or with our jobs, it was always a feeling of just be happy. And when my mom talks to us, she's just be happy. And same thing with my dad.
Do you feel pressure to do well, to succeed, to be excellent?
Well, there's always that father-son struggle of trying to outdo your father, but that's next to impossible. I think the best thing is just to be happy with what you're doing. That's most crucial.
What is your favorite family memory?
Wow, there are so many. You know, if anything, I would say the most important thing to me is my photo album, because it has so many memories, and it's never one memory. It's the life that we have together. And my mom chronicles our life. She takes pictures of us. She writes stories about us. She puts them into books and gives them to us. So it's a chance for her to express her feelings about us, but also a chance for us to know ourselves from her perspective. It's really very special to us. So.
That is incredible.
Yeah. But also, I would say some great memories are just playing wiffle ball or, you know, baseball or something in the backyard of one of our houses with our cousins, you know, so...
What was the game we played? You and I?
Boredom. We called it boredom. We had I don't know, one day we didn't know what to do, and we took a tennis ball and just bounced it off the shingles of the top of the house and tried to figure out where it would fall. It was here.
Be there to catch it.
I called my dad this morning. He was taking a hike, and I went out, and he has a stick, and he's throwing a rock, and he's batting it very Mickey Mantle style. He's got great form. He's like, look, this is what I did as a kid. This is me playing stickball. And he was laughing out loud, and I caught this moment, and I'm like, God, if Oprah just got here a little earlier, you would have seen my dad the way he really is. He's just loving life.
Next, Dylan's getting married this June. Ralph tells us about what may be the most important gown he will ever design. So the kids they're really not kids anymore. They're growing up, leaving the house, have already left the house and getting married. Dylan's getting married this June?
Yeah, very soon.
Like less than a month from now.
Like very soon, and it's very exciting though, because you know, we've been preparing for it, and obviously my dad is making my dress for it, which is the most amazing thing because it's really stunning. And
how did you sit down and begin that process, and was it emotional for you? It was emotional.
Yeah. I had to do something that was better than ever before. I mean, that's the only daughter I have. This beautiful girl. I wanted to just give her something that she really treasured, give her something that would be really amazing, and I wanted to feel fantastic.
What was it like when you sat down and first started to dream it, create it, and draw it?
It was clear about what she should look like, but I didn't go through one drawing. It was a few drawings. Nothing was perfect, you know. And Dylan and Ricky certainly first looked at the first drawing. She said, Ralph, that's not Dylan. You know, I think she should have this and should have this. So Ricky had some point of views, and I spoke to Dylan, and Dylan had a point of view. So I was terrorized in reality. That's why I'm crying. And I think she's very happy. I think she's totally...
I may not take off the dress after the wedding. I told my fiance I may sleep in it. I might wear it the next day. It's really beautiful.
You know what I was just thinking, though, Ralph? We were talking outside, and the guy said the difference between your ties and his ties was love. I can't imagine if you put the love in the ties and the love in the clothes, how much love has gone into that dress. And you're going to walk down I could cry right now. You're going to walk down the aisle in that dress with your father by your side.
My father and my mother.
And your mother. I love that.
Yeah.
That's
Notice how Dylan talks about her mother and her father and makes sure that her mother is taken care of.
So it's not just you giving her away.
Well, I know.
I'm not giving her.
Yeah.
You're taking him.
You're taking him.
No, I know that my dad, everyone knows my dad is Ralph Lauren, and, you know, but my mom is the other half of who created all of us, and she's the other R of the double. Exactly. Double R. So they both should feel the credit.
That's wonderful.
And they've both been successful at raising all of us, so, you know, they're both stars.
That's wonderful. That's great. And then you're getting married in September.
Yes. Very exciting.
It's going to be hard to top that dress.
He's wearing a dress, too.
Yeah, it's going to be very special.
Special. You're going to get married here.
Yes. So we have a spot that's very romantic, and, you know, it's a place where my parents found the ranch and had the same feelings that we did. So it's going to be amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
From the outside looking in, it looks like the perfect picture. Hello. What's the best part of being in this family for you?
It was pretty cool to sit here and be on Oprah.
Yeah, it's that kind of opportunity that's a high for all of us, and we'll never forget this kind of experience, you know, that...
I would say that this is a rare experience for us as well, because my dad has really refused to do TV interviews. He really has... This has been a very private family, and so to do this for us is exciting, you know, as it is for you and for all, you know, for anybody that we know. This is a special moment.
And it's my birthday, so how many guys Oprah to celebrate his birthday.
Big gift.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for allowing me in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Ralph takes me to his favorite spot on the Double RL Ranch. Ralph and Ricky Lauren bought their Rocky Mountain retreat almost 30 years ago, and they say this is the spot where they fell in love with the land. They call this place the Vans, after the family who lived in this modest cabin more than 100 years ago. The Vance family also built this giant 3-story barn. It was Ralph, of course, who added the chandeliers. For the Laurens, this is sacred ground.
You can just hear the wind, you hear it go through you. And that quietness is what makes this place so amazing. And the serenity and the openness and the mountains.
The stillness.
The mountains, you know, the mountains are very much like, the mountains is like, whoa, there's some electricity coming out of the mountains.
You could find yourself here.
This is a part of life we forget about.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
this is life.
Now I finally know what's on the other side of that fence. Overwhelming beauty. Appreciation for the land. And a home where the Laurens come together as a family. And that's just what they do each night they spend on the ranch. They sit down to dinner by the fire in the cookhouse. And on this night,
Today, all new.
a season 25 coup.
For the first and only time,
Wow,
American icon Ralph Lauren opens up his ranch.
this is unbelievable. Where did the idea for the polo shirt come from?
The first interview with his wife, Ricky,
What would you say is the secret to this?
and their children.
From the outside looking in, it looks like the perfect picture.
A rare that only comes around once.
Next.
For years, it's been a dream of mine to sit down on camera with American icon Ralph Lauren and see how he lives. I have driven by this wooden fence, which stretches almost 30 miles along his private ranch in the Rocky Mountains, just hoping
RL sign, the double RL sign.
Yeah.
I used to start the odometer and measure how long was the fence along the highway.
And just around the bend, a sight to behold. 5 hand-painted teepees, decorated to a T, complete with beds and couches. The attention to detail is, well, it's Ralph Lauren.
Whoa. Oh, this is unbelievable.
What do you think? So,
It's like out of a Ralph Lauren catalog. Oh, my goodness. Do people come down and stay here?
only invited.
Only invited.
It's a treat, you know, if it's a time of year, you know, this is the right time of year when you can really enjoy it. Look at this. The settings, the couches.
Do you collect all these?
The day would come when I would get to go inside. Today, that dream is coming true. For the first and only time ever, Ralph Lauren is allowing television cameras inside the cabins that make up his family compound on the magnificent 17,000-acre double RL ranch just outside Telluride, Colorado.
Wow.
Hi. Hey, how are you?
Wow. I can't believe I made it. How are
How you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Come
Good
off
to
the
see you.
smell.
Good to see you.
Good boy.
You can't imagine how long I have dreamed of coming here. You can't imagine.
Well, we got
It is an absolute dream come true to finally see this magnificent place. And my host, Mr. Ralph Lauren himself, chose what he calls
Old blankets?
Yes.
Collect all
I've
those.
always collected blankets and all the Navajo stuff.
I can't shut my mouth. This is a dream.
It feels good, doesn't it? It's very quiet. It's very peaceful.
This feels perfect. I could be so happy here. Wow. Everywhere you lay your eye, there's something more interesting to see.
We take a peek inside a child-sized teepee. It's filled with whimsical artifacts and toys.
Did you always want to be a cowboy?
I want to be everything.
You wanted to be everything.
All at once. I want to be a baseball player. I want to be a basketball player. I wanted to be an actor. I want to be a dancer. You know, and I think my whole life has been actually, I wanted to be Batman. If you don't, that's a secret I'm telling you and everyone out there. But the ability...
His other horse, a vintage 1948 Jeep for my guided tour of the Double RL Ranch.
Look how the weather...
I love the weather. I love everything about this. And I can't even explain to you what this means that I'm here.
The beauty and breadth of this landscape leave me speechless. Ralph says he felt the same way when he first bought the ranch back in 1982.
I was out here at 6:30 in the morning, and I walked out and I saw this exactly where we are right now. And I just took a deep breath myself, and I said, I can't believe that I'm here.
Took your breath away.
Took my breath away.
Yeah.
And we lived in the area. Used to pass this area, but you could never really see it.
And so is that teak wood?
Yeah, that's the teak wood.
That's teak.
And
because I remember when they were the golden teak. And I used to, from the first